Teacher, I feel stuck every time I need to speak English. Does this happen to you? Well, if you feel stuck every time you need to speak, you need to watch this video because I will help you understand why this happens to you and what you need to do to change it. Coming up. Hey student, I am Teacher Prix and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Well, thank you so much for watching this lesson. Make sure to subscribe because every week I bring different kinds of English lessons to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. Now, let's talk about the video, shall we? Guys, feeling stuck in conversations will happen, okay? It'll happen to all of us. The problem is that many students don't have the tools to help them get out of this situation successfully and keep going, continue the conversation. And there are two reasons why this is happening and you cannot get out of it. You feel bad and you feel stuck. And I will show you what they are, okay? I will show you the two reasons why this is happening, and then I'll give you suggestions to help you improve because I believe you're here for that, right? Now guys, reason number one, you study the rules, you study the words, but you don't focus on experiences. You treat English as a lesson thing, lesson 1, okay, verb to be, lesson 2, past and present, lesson 3, verbs, lesson 4, okay, but experiences. Your practice can't be summed up in just lessons. You need to focus on connecting this lesson with an emotional reaction, okay? We learn more when there is an experience involved, when there is an emotion involved. And when it's time to speak, maybe you are feeling anxious, maybe you feel nervous, and these are emotional responses. Feelings, emotions. Your brain is causing you to feel that. So how do you deal with the emotions you feel? That's something you need to ask yourself. So how do I deal with those emotions? Some people ignore them. Some people believe they cannot change. And many people avoid feeling that way again. But the problem is, if you avoid feeling that way, it means you will not try to speak anymore because you will be afraid of making mistakes. And if you follow this cycle, you will get stuck and then you will try to avoid, and your brain will make you feel more and more insecure about your ability to communicate. So you have to break this cycle, okay? It's very important. Now, basically, what I'm trying to say is here we have two barriers, two things that block you. We have the language barrier. I'm not just going to be talking about emotions here. No, we have the language barrier. And we have the emotional barrier. We have the two barriers. This is why in my method, I use NLP. Maybe you don't know what NLP is, but it basically means neuro-linguistic programming. And what I try to show my students is you need to open your mind to be able to speak with confidence, to be able to build your confidence so that you can gradually speak more smoothly, more naturally, more easily. Okay? Unfortunately, most traditional methods will only focus on the language, teaching you words, not situations, teaching you grammar, but not experiences. And then when it's time to speak, your brain can't make the connections and you don't know how to manage your emotions, okay? People don't analyze their emotions. But if you went from basic, now you are at a pre-intermediate level and you want to keep going, well, we need to analyze the emotions too. Otherwise, you keep learning more words, more grammar, more lessons, and you will not feel ready to talk. But teacher, how do I work on emotions? We will talk about that, okay? We will talk about that, but let's talk about reason 2 before I can give you suggestions to help you improve, okay? The second reason has to do with preparation for action. Are you preparing to speak? Or are you preparing to just learn another lesson, learn another phrasal verb, learn another expression, and that's it? So basically, the second reason is the language itself, okay? It is connected with how you study, what you study, the frequency, the consistency, the way you study. Many times I ask students who join my academy and I'm getting to know them, and in our first conversation, and I'm like, hey, were you consistent? Are you disciplined? And the answers are very common. Well, teacher, I studied for 5 years, but I stopped. And then I came back again. And then I stopped again. So if you have that kind of routine, it'll be very difficult to feel confident to speak because you're not preparing yourself. Your emotions will be really connected with the way you study so that you can feel ready to face a conversation, okay? So is your current study routine helping you become more talkative, or are you learning lessons more passively? Students feel very insecure about speaking because they don't practice how to use what they study. They write information down, they watch video lessons, they listen to audio clips, but they don't externalize the information. They don't verbalize, let's put it this way. They don't put into words the things they listen about, they write about, they read about, they watch about. That's why you need to follow a study plan that will encourage you to connect the lesson with your life and at the same time make you use the information you study. Okay, that's very important. So the next time you watch something in English, well, this lesson even, well, how can I use this lesson? Well, maybe I can grab my phone and I can record myself talking about the lesson and how I feel about speaking in English and what I can change, but actively. I'm not just going to think about it. This is where students stop. And this is what you need to change if you want to improve. And this will involve all these skills: vocabulary, reading, writing, listening, speaking, grammar, pronunciation, intonation. So here, I imagine you get an idea. Working on emotions, changing how you feel. But to make that happen, you have to change how you study. You have to change your habits, okay? That's very important. But you could be asking yourself now, okay, Priscilla, how do I do all of that? Well, let's go a little deeper. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, okay? I would appreciate it if you could do it. Every week I bring new lessons. But let's get down to business. Reason number 1, let's take a look at that. Understanding your emotions, okay? Lack of preparation, which is number 2, the wrong way to prepare for action, will make you feel very intimidated when it's time to speak, okay? That's very bad. That's why these 2 reasons are connected. Bad preparation for action will make you feel intimidated when it's time to speak. This intimidation will trigger a very stressed brain. And when you're under stress, you lack oxygen, and then you begin to feel anxiety. So you see, one leads to the other. That's why you feel stuck, because your brain is like fighting for oxygen. You're thinking of a million things, and it's difficult to focus, okay? But one thing that is important to understand is your belief system. What is belief? Something you believe in, okay? What you believe. I work a lot on that with my students in my program. What do you believe in? We need to work on your emotions. How do you deal with your emotions? And here, I would like to ask you about the following thing. Do you follow a positive feedback strategy or a negative feedback strategy? As a master of NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, I like to help my students unlock their minds to fluency so that they can feel more confident about speaking English. And this is something that I work with them about positive and negative feedback, what they hear, what they say to themselves. And in NLP, this is a very important point. What do you constantly say to yourself? Because whatever you keep repeating to yourself, your subconscious mind will absorb that. It's like a sponge. It'll absorb everything you're saying. It will believe. And then you will create your belief system. This is where the positive and negative feedback will come into action. So if you make a mistake, what do you say to yourself? If you mispronounce a word, what do you say to yourself? If someone doesn't understand you, what do you think of yourself? If you forget a word, if you don't remember a word, what do you say to yourself about that? This is where you need to change positive feedback or negative feedback. Many students will go to the negative one. Oh man, I'm really bad at this. Oh, I never remember the words. Speaking? No, I can't do it. No, 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 no. I'm not saying you have to lie to yourself, but you're using this strategy, you will keep making this mistake, and you will keep getting stuck in conversations because your subconscious mind will constantly remind you, hey, but you said you suck. Hey, but you said you're bad. Hey, but you always forget the words. Your first change, if you want to unlock your mind, if you want to unlock your fluency, is here. The first change is mental. Change the mental conversation you have about yourself, and your results will gradually change. That's the first step. As I said, we can't just work on emotions. Oh, feel bad, feel good, yeah. No, we have more work to do. This is an important part in my program. With my students in my academy, I give them NLP exercises, neuro-linguistic programming techniques, to work on their mind, to help them feel more positive emotions. That's one part. They have the language lessons, the activities, vocabulary, reading, listening, but they also need to work on the mind. Because if you don't open your mind, if you don't change your belief system, you don't improve, no matter how good the system is, the school, the teacher, whatever, you name it, okay? Now, guys, you gotta check the habits, okay? The habits revolving the English language. How do you practice your English skills? How do you connect them with your life? Do you study consistently or inconsistently? That's also a very important question you need to ask yourself. So, for example, the next time you sit down to study vocabulary. Okay, I learned 5 new words. Great. But how can I use these words to talk about something meaningful, something important, something interesting connected with my life? And speak, not just think. Oh, teacher, I think about English. No, use English. This is what I do in my practice. Every week when I study English, I check a new word, I look it up, and then I'm like, okay, now my job is to create an example using the word, connecting the word with my life. Don't simply create random examples that don't mean anything to you. Oh, but let's say you read something in English. Okay, teacher, I read this article in English. Connect with your life. Critical thinking, opinion. Do I agree? Do I disagree? And then you can do this orally. Well, I don't agree with this article. Why? Give 3 reasons. What are things you agree with? Maybe you like some parts from the article. That's what we do in conversation. When I have classes with my babies, conversation classes, I ask them about their opinion. But what do you think about this? Well, do you like? Well, why? Tell me why. Give me a reason. Give me an explanation. This is practice. You need to practice doing that, even if you study alone, okay? Look at this student from my program. She, it's a student, and in her vocabulary practice, as you can see here on the screen, she was giving me some examples on the platform, and she created some examples using the words she was learning. Why? Because that's what I do with my students. But then the special part here was she connected the examples with her life. She was describing something to me. And even then, later, she gave me another comment and she said, teacher, I recorded myself speaking in English to practice my speaking as you teach us how to do in the academy. And then I was talking about a movie, she said, a movie I liked. And then at the same time, she was talking about the movie she liked. She likes, actually. She was using the verbs, the expressions she was learning from the lesson inside my program. That's what I mean, connect English with your life when you're studying. And this speaking practice was alone. She was not talking to me. She was following my recommendations to practice her English speaking by herself because it is necessary. But you can't just make a boring practice. You need to bring context. You need to bring meaning. That's when your habits get easier to be built. That's what you need to be doing if you want to stop getting stuck and feel more confident when it's time to speak English. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to share it with your friends. But other than that, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.